It's your boy, Charles Beloved, and I am here with my always sensual, always saved.
Saved, yes, praise Jesus.
Somewhat casual today. We're not gonna do that. We're gonna leave our
marital disputes
at home. Just very beautiful wife, Mrs. Shireen Kirkendall. How you doing today?
Hi, bespoke beloved.
Bespoke? Why would you call me bespoke beloved? It couldn't possibly be this custom leather. Let me chill. See, I don't want our guests to just think that I'm like new money.
You are new money. What do we say? Loud luxury. Loud luxury.
I don't know what order that episode is in, but that one is gonna be real
loud.
Loud luxury. And so today, this is probably the episode that I've really been looking forward to.
Charles planned.
Y'all know we took a long break and then we are back. And obviously we told you all about all the transitions that happened, such as me getting acquired. One thing that my wife forgot to share with you guys.
You don't have to do that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that I was Essence Top 40. That was something that we didn't
And
share.
not number 40.
Congratulations.
Number 40.
Congratulations.
So just, thank you so much. So a lot of great things happening.
Amen.
And I would say
Wait, and you know what I want to say about that? This Essence thing, when you found out, you got the email. We were on a plane. We were flying back home. You showed me the email. I started crying.
Started bawling.
And I just want to say, I know you were in a season where you felt like you were doing the work and you felt passed over and you felt like people weren't seeing the work. So I'm so happy for you. I'm so proud of you. I know you don't do it for accolades, but you still deserve the accolades. And for anyone who's doing the work, do the work. Put your head down. Do it quietly. Your winning season will come, and it may feel like you're getting passed over, but God is preparing to blow your mind. I truly believe that, because the things you felt passed over about when you started getting recognized, you were like, oh, wow, this is bigger than I even thought it could be. So I'm so happy for you. You deserve all the things. Not you.
No, thank you, because you didn't give me a cake or take me out to dinner and things when it happened. So I'm really appreciative of you giving my flowers right now. Like,
I'll take it all back.
I want to time out before you take it back. I just want to chime in here, and this is why I love that we're friends, because I recall when you first started at Stripe, we co-hosted an event where there was cake and there was accolades and there was a great time. It was friends, family, everybody.
Right now, this is not okay. Let me say, because we don't even know who that is. It's just some magical voice.
They came with receipts.
But no, seriously, I sincerely appreciate that. But through all of that, my point was like the friends and the loved ones and the support was beautiful. And I would say of that 90%, it was just the most beautiful.
Who's the missing 10?
No, let me get to the 10. I'm getting to the talented 10. It was just the most impactful moment of my life being celebrated, and really felt like people wanted, great things to be happening.
And we're happy for
me,
you.
for us, right?
Yeah.
But then there was the 10%. And that 10%, it was just like odd, right? And similarly, you and I have discussed, like, I look at the world through rose-colored glasses. Yes. I am just, in my mind, just like, oh, no, people, they don't have bad intentions. Everybody can be together. It's kumbaya.
Everyone
kumbaya,
can
beloved.
win.
But I would say that the 10%, it really felt like odd for people
the energy felt off.
Yeah, the energy felt odd and off for me.
And were these strangers or friends?
No, strangers. It is what it is. Like I understand. Like I'm a loud, big, boisterous person. Everybody's not gonna like me, but it was like people that I care about, people that I love, people that I have supported when they were having their monumental things. It's just like I would have loved to felt that level of reciprocation, and when I did not, to me that 10% was very
took
loud.
off the glasses.
You know what I mean? And so while I'm trying to approach this conversation in the most thoughtful possible way, I started to do like a little analysis, started to ask people about it. As we were like, we're going to come back. I was like, hey, do you have like odd things in your friendships? Because I just thought it was me. I thought it was maybe just Shireen, because I know Shireen from the Bronx. It's a whole different thing there.
And Charles from Chicago.
And so I didn't know if it was just an us thing. And as I talked to other friends, our friends are going through things with friends.
Yep.
My mom is going through things with her friends.
Yep.
Cat Williams went through things. No, it's serious. It's serious.
No, but
Stephen A. Smith went through things with somebody who once was a friend. And so as we think about navigating adult relationships, it was super important for me to just take my bias out of it and really approach this from a macro level to say, hey, what is the psychology of friendships? Which brings me. Yeah.
So we brought in help.
So I guess because y'all know I only got 1 degree. This is 2 degrees. There's multiple degrees right here. I just, so I had to set the stage and go let the experts talk. But we have with us none other than my sister, the very intelligent business owner, CEO, psychotherapist, master's from USC, undergrad from ASU, Arizona. Yeah, come on, I'm giving people their flowers too. Miss Brittany Richardson. Let's give it up for BB Rich. You are our second guest. Welcome to For Better Best Podcast.
Hi,
I thought I gave you a
me.
good intro, but is there anything else that you want to kind of share?
I think a bucket list to have Charles intro me for anything. So
I'm going to hype you up.
And I just want to say, Brittany is a practicing therapist. She takes clients. So if you listen to this episode and you love what she has to say, you should definitely reach out to her. I want to also pump her business.
Thank you.
But we have been talking about this for so long, and I think we look at it from the lens of, we look at it through a different lens than you do. And that's why we wanted to bring you on, because you bring a different critical lens than we do. Whereas I think when we're looking at it, we're taking it very personally. You're looking at it and you're like, but there are all these outside factors, and how do we factor those into people?
I like the therapy voice, baby. That was good. That was good.
Well done.
So as we think about social media and we think about friendships, how have you seen social media really impact friendships and the way people live? Because people say it's like fake, social media is not real life, but it does start to, how you act on social media, it does start to creep into like how you perceive people in real life.
No, definitely. I think social media is not real life, but the way that you consume it is real, and it therefore impacts your real life, right? And I think the first thing when you think about friendship is that all relationships are important, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a romantic relationship, whether it's a parental relationship, family relationships, they all kind of have the same core at them, which is how do you and I interact with each other, right? And so that changes over time. It changes with age and values and, life factors. So when we think about friendships, I think all of the things that we talk about today can easily be applied to how we talk and deal with our families, how we talk and deal with our romantic partners. But friendship is honestly one of the most important relationships, arguably more important than your romantic relationship because, one, it lasts longer than a lot of your romantic relationships.
All right, we getting right into it.
No,
right? All right.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. We always talk about like women who like kind of leave their friends to the wayside when they get in relationships. Like, my friends predate you. Those are relationships to me that run so deep. When there was no you, they were the ones who, I was like, I thought I was in love and he wasn't the one. They were the ones who were like holding me up in those moments so that when I met you, they were like, girl, we see it. We're so happy for you.
Thank you, friends. I just want to thank y'all real quick.
And to me, why wouldn't I want to bring them along for this ride? Like, why would I want to forget them? But I think you touched on something like, as we get older, I think now that we're in our 30s, now we're seeing some of the divides in those like 10, 20-year friendships. Do you think that like age plays a role in like how our friendships change? Obviously we grow, priorities change, but like how do you think that impacts?
Yeah, I think age for sure. But I think more importantly than age, it's like maturity level, right? Like you're now realizing how much your friendships are changing in your 30s because you're conscious about it. But you weren't friends in high school probably with the people you were best friends with in elementary school or middle school, right? In college, your friends changed. So there's always these divides that are happening as life happens to us, right? I'm going to this school. I'm, more interested in him. My romantic partner is more important to me than my friends. I'll see you guys when we break up, right? So all these things happen all the time. But now that we're able to reflect and these things are more meaningful to us, we see the value in these friendships. It becomes more conscious when things start to drift apart. Like having children, right? Different parenting styles, different career goals and trajectories. And so all of those things kind of weigh in and factor in first and foremost, especially with our generation is like, what is it that I need, right?
Mm-hmm.
I need support. I just got 40 under 40. I want my closest friends to be there cheering me and championing me.
Mm-hmm.
And I want people who I care about to be caring about me, right? So it's egocentric. But then on top of that, it's like, well, in order for my ego to be filled, I've got to be doing the same for you. I've got to show up for you. I've got to invite you out. I've got to like your post, right? So all of it plays an impact. I think age, just because life happens as we age, but not necessarily the number.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the candles on a cake.
So with life, it seems like also by life and age, the priority shifting.
Sure.
You mentioned kids, and you know, when we were younger, it's more friendships of proximity. I didn't go outside of the West Side, so all my friends are the same West Side Chicago folks. Then it was Lane Tech. Then we get to college, I meet these New Yorkers. My friend group substantially changed, and I'm working in finance, and we going to tech. That's a whole new friend group. But there are friendships that I believe should have withstood all of those changes. And, you know, I'm trying to be thoughtful, beloved, this season. And so I actually thought about, like, yo, Charles, where are you going wrong in your friendships? And in my head, and I'm going to be honest, I think I'm a great friend.
Perfection.
Honestly,
Surprise.
I'm just being honest. Like, we went to, 10 weddings this year?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so when it comes to showing up for people, big, important moments, we prioritize them. You know what I'm saying? Secondarily, I do know that while my expectations that you at my birthday party, because, you know, I throw some of the most amazing parties.
Oh, God.
Known to man, like, I travel every week. So that means that I'm probably not at your birthday. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, so I'm looking at it from both lenses and doing what maybe I think is a fair alternative for my presence. We send a gift, we'll do this, but you know what you say, somebody is always a villain in somebody else's story.
Oh yeah,
I don't know that my alternatives are filling up the cups of my friends the way that I think that they are.
But I think that it's also about communication. So last week we had a friend who she had reached out to me, and I so appreciated it, and I gave her flowers in person. She texted me, they had bought a new house recently. We had made plans to go to their house, and then like it fell through, so we didn't get to go. And she texted me and she was like, hey, I would love for you guys to come over and see the house and like get the kids together and like let's do brunch at our house. Like, can you find a weekend? I know you guys are so busy. Let me know when works for you. Like, we want to have you over. And I was like, one, I appreciate the directness of that, right? Like, hey, you're my friend. I really enjoy hanging out with you. Here's what I need. I bought a new house. This is an accomplishment. I want you to see it. Cool. I can appreciate that. Two, you gave me a timeline. You said, hey, I would like it to be done by this date. Now, if I couldn't execute by that date, that's fine. I'll communicate that to her. But to me, it was like, instead of getting in her feelings and being like, wow, Charles and Shereen never even came to see the house. They never followed up with us. She just told me what she needed. And I was able to fulfill that. And I felt so happy that I was able to kind of meet her where she was at. So I'm like, as we think about friends, how do we meet our friends where they're at? Sometimes when they're not even communicating with us, maybe they don't know what they need. Like maybe they want to tell us, but they're not sure. Also, sometimes it's like hard to tell someone that they've hurt your feelings and that like you're not showing up for me and I miss you. Like those are uncomfortable conversations for people.
It's hard to be vulnerable, but also I think that's like a testament to the friendship, right?
Yeah.
I think what I love about both of these is introspection, right? Charles, you had to say, you know what? I'm not satisfied with all of these relationships. First, let me look at what I'm doing, right? Yeah. And she says, you know what? Let me ask for what I need. Let me say, here, this is what I want from you. Can you deliver or not? And it's respectful because it gives the other person to say, yes, I can meet you there, or no, I actually can't. Now we can have a dialogue and a conversation. This is all very mature friendship stuff, right?
Yeah.
Y'all don't need me.
We definitely need you.
But I think that when we find dissatisfaction in any of our relationships, but especially friendships, it does take a second to go inward and say, okay, what am I feeling? How am I showing up? And what can I ask for? What will make me better? And the reason that's hard is because when we do that from a feelings place, right? Like, I'm mad, you never do this, so now do this thing, right? That might not actually be the core of what's going on for us, right? So when you say, you know what, I haven't seen you in a long time, I really want to show off my accomplishment and like, you know, share with you my success, that's, hey, can you come over? Can you come see my success? Not like, oh, like to your point, right? You never
followed up.
You never followed up. You never came, you know, I bought this house. You didn't show up. Part of the thing that gets us all in really bad shape is bad communication. And one of the biggest mistakes we make in communication is assuming the other person is a mind reader.
Yeah.
So with that, because that's a great segue. See, you see we cooking right now. Therapy is important in relationships. Shout out Brittany. We're going to get to the Brittany story, how she helped us before. And then that even opened up the door to like me and my family having therapy. I had some therapy sessions with my mom that made our relationship really good. Shout out Tarantino. We're doing great. Is there a place for friendship therapy?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've never heard of it. So is that like a thing?
I have my thoughts. I'll let you go first.
Yeah. Let the expert.
No, friendship therapy, it's a thing as far as therapy is a thing. I feel like, I do think that friendship is a relationship and therapy is working on your relationships, whether it's individual therapy, you're working on yourself, marriage therapy, you're working on your marriage, friendship therapy, you're working on your friendship. And I think the guideline that I have for anybody who's looking to get into therapy is you have to have a goal, right? Yeah. This is not just we're going to vent or we need a mediator to like tell us who's right or who's wrong. I want to work on the communication in my marriage, right? I want to get past this betrayal in my friendship. I want to heal these old wounds from my childhood that my mom or my dad unknowingly or knowingly inflicted, right? Like, how can we get past this obstacle in front of us? That's what therapy is a tool for. And so in your friendship, if there's a thing, hey, I felt really hurt when you didn't show up in this way and I can't really hear your side of things because I'm so hurt, there is a place to have space in a therapeutic sense to work through those hurts and move past something. But if it's like, hey, I feel like we're not, I never talk to you anymore, I don't know if that's the place for therapy, right? It's like you want to be going with the idea to get past something specific.
I think friendship therapy is hard because I said it to you in the house. I was like, I don't think it's the same as marriage. And you were like, well, you don't have to be in a marriage. It's like you don't have to be in a friendship. And I was like, yes.
Don't say it like that as if I'm just flipping. I just want to make sure that my perspective this season is shown in a better light.
You care,
thoughtfully.
You care about marriage and you care about friendship thoughtfully. But I think for marriage, there's so much more tied to marriage, right? Like you think about like the financial ties to marriage, children, kids. With friendship, it really is like an opt-in or opt-out.
Easily breakable, unless you have business with them.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's...
And also like when we go to therapy together, you're choosing to show up, right? You're choosing to prioritize your marriage and your partner. Whereas in friendship, even though you're asking me to do something, I may not be able to prioritize that. I may not be able to change the behavior that you want to see change because I have a marriage that I'm prioritizing higher than our friendship. I have children that I'm prioritizing higher than our friendship. I may have a business that I have to prioritize higher than the friendship. So that's why I said, when you said, like, I wonder if friendship therapy is a thing, I was like, it can be, but I think it would be very hard to navigate because honestly, we have so many more priorities over friendship, which is why I think there's a breakdown in friendship sometimes, because at this age, you have to kind of be intentional. You have to pick up the phone and say, hey, I would like you and your partner to come over and let's do a play date with our kids. As opposed to when in our 20s, we fell into friendships because it was like, you like to drink, I like to drink. Hey, girl, it's Friday. Let's go out and drink.
I think that's a great point. And I think, the idea too of just like opting in and opting out of like marriage or a relationship, right? Romance, it feels so finite because, depending on how your marriage is structured, right? Your partner may or may not be your best friend, but there's like also like an implicit unspoken rule, right? Where if you're my friend, you're here, right? We might go through a tough patch or whatever, but we're friends, right? Whereas a marriage, if that's irretrievably broken, then irretrievably broken, right? So I think that that's a big piece of it where it feels so final. I don't think we spend enough time thinking about just change, right? We want to opt in or opt out, but like maybe our friendship just doesn't look the same at 30 than it did at 20. I'm not going to be friends with you anymore, but I'm not going to show up every Friday like I used to, right? And that's okay. I still love you. I wish you the best. It just looks different, but I think it can be really hard to sit in that feeling. So it's easier to just be, oh, we don't talk no more.
So
Ooh, she's therapizing now. No. We be doing this with Britt. Britt starts to thank you, Bridget. You heard the therapization. When she starts therapizing.
So
go, because I got to follow. Go.
So you talked a lot about, like, in friendship, though, I'm not going to show up every Friday, but how do I give you grace? You talked a lot about, like, giving people grace and sometimes knowing it's not me, it's actually them. Like, they're going through something and they just can't show up.
Well, it's never you. It's always them, right? How we move. We talked about Well, pause for a sec, because I know I saw boundaries in there, boundaries versus empathy. I don't know if that's where you're going.
Yeah,
but
that's where
I wanted to talk about that. So.
Yeah, go.
Opt in. Okay.
We don't follow this to a T.
Yeah. Okay.
We just
I didn't want to miss the cue,
No.
I think that when I talk about communication, when I think about relationships, when I think about how I want to show up in the world, it's all really measured by boundaries, right? Like, these are the things I'm okay with. These are the things I'm not okay with. And boundaries has become this, like, huge buzzword, like TikTok therapy is like, oh, my boundaries. I think that, was it Jonah Hill, right? Got into that whole thing with boundaries with his girlfriend. And
it was
giving
controlling.
controlling.
Boundaries
exactly.
in our relationship. That wasn't a bad idea. Let me chill. Go ahead, Brittany.
No, so boundaries has become this, like, really overly used word, but it's very important to have good boundaries. I think when I think of boundaries and I talk about boundaries in my practice with my clients, it's really about self-care, right? How do you wake up in the morning feeling your best, feeling safe, feeling good about the things that are occurring? And if you're waking up with resentment, anxiety, fear, you're somewhere in your life not holding the boundary properly, right? And so in friendship, if you're like, damn, I missed her event, like, oh no, she's texted me 3 times, I gotta text her back, blah, blah, blah. Our expectations for communication are not being explicitly shared, right? So how do we say, first thing is you go inward and say, I'm dealing with this anxiety. Listen, I feel like there's a lot of pressure to attend your events. I missed last Friday and I'm sick about it. I don't want that kind of pressure. I just want you to know if I don't show up, it's all love, right? Okay. So the first thing we do is go inward and check, where are we not maintaining, right? And then how can we communicate that in a real way?
Okay, so we talked about, like, a delta of your needs and where the friend is at. Now, I wish I were more mature. But I am not yet. I'm currently in process.
Our friend says on her Instagram all the time, I'm healing. I'm not healed.
I am not healed. I am healing. I'm in the process, the journey.
Shout out to Bianca.
So what I oftentimes see myself doing is, when I'm feeling away, and this is a safe space, I tend to meet my friends where they are. And what that looks like in practice.
If they go low, you go to hell.
No, I'm not going any lower. And that is, I want to make a clear distinction. I have no intention on going lower. But if it's like, I see you fall back,
I'm going to fall back.
Then I too fall back. If I see you not like, then I too will not like. If I see you not looking at my story, then I too will not look at your story. So it's just, if you didn't say anything on my birthday, then I'm just not going to, you know what I'm saying? So it's just, I don't know if that is a coping mechanism. You can bring back the
But I think a lot of people do that, though. Like, so where is...
See, this is a safe place. We having real combos on here, y'all.
Because to me, how is there room for healing and forgiveness when now it's turning into a little bit of a tit for tat? And I don't think you're wrong for that, right? Like, I think we all do that.
No, I'm being more internalization, beloved. And I'm like, based on what we're hearing from an expert, psychotherapist, Britt, she's saying, like, I've never explicitly been, and I'm somebody who is direct. Like, I'll be like, you know what I mean, relatively, but like, unless if it's not a big deal, it's not a big deal. But if it's something I care about, I will say it. Yeah. But, I'm leaving space and grace for that shift to kind of occur and go with these ebbs and flows. And I'm not going out and being like, hey, you didn't meet my needs on this post. I'm actually really disappointed. Actually, I have called people out about the post. I've done it before. But, but then if it's like consistent and it's just like a genuine change of behavior, then I'm like, cool. I'm not about to fight you on it. Respectfully, I'm blessed to have so many friends, so many people that care about me. I care about them. So it's just like,
go where you celebrate it.
You go where you celebrate. That one is different. Then I'm just like, okay, we got to move on.
One of my biggest pet peeves about boundaries is that there's a boundary, which is the cliff, right? Outside of this, and I no longer feel like I want to partake in this. And then there's a preference, right? I like my friends to do these things, but if my friend does this, that's now making me feel uncomfortable. I don't know if that is something I want to continue with, right? And so when I hear you doing kind of this like tit for tat, like, oh, you didn't like mine, I'm not going to like yours, there's a little bit of internal work to do there because... And actually, this is so great because we actually talked about this when you got the 40 under 40. Obviously, I saw it on Instagram. I was so proud, well-deserved. And I posted it on my story and said, congratulations, or whatever I said. Yeah. And you messaged me, you said, this means so much to me. Like, I feel like, we're really friends. because of this. And I said to you, I'm so glad this means a lot to you, but I just caught this on Instagram today. This is not how I really show friendship.
My love. Yeah.
So if that is what you were looking for, I will not feel like a good friend to you. And you responded and you said, I understand social media is not really what it is. What really matters to me is showing up in person. And I have missed a couple of personal invites. Yeah. And I took ownership. I said, I can totally see that. That makes total sense. I can take care of that moving forward. That was a great exchange of friendship, right? Where it's like, but I feel like, so if you're like, oh, Britt's not really liking my post, and you don't like my post, I'm never gonna feel that. It's never gonna bother me. I'm never gonna.
I think that ties into like love languages, like
for sure.
You stop loving in the way you want to be loved, and she's like, oh, you stop loving
like
me?
language. Just call it the like language.
Yeah. And Brittany's like, oh, I didn't even realize.
I didn't even know
like, you weren't here. Like,
I see you outside. I'm like, hey, what up, Charles? And you're like, now you want to say hi. Where were you? And so I feel like part of it is you have to understand what it is that you need, and those are the things that you ask for, or those are the things that you understand that not everybody is going to give you, right? People offer you different things in your relationship. You have your Friday night out person and you have your Sunday morning person. Maybe they're the same person, but they don't have to be, right? And so I think you have to be really careful about making your things their things and vice versa.
I'm tracking. We're going to have a social media episode, so we could dive a little bit deeper into this. So I'm going to step away from social, but from a psychotherapeutic standpoint, what are the signals that it is time to let the friendship go?
Great question. I think it's really personal, but I think ultimately if you are expressing yourself to somebody, if you're communicating and you're saying, here are the things I'm looking for, and more so, before you can ask what you're looking for, you have to know what it is you're feeling, right? Here's what I'm feeling. I feel left out. I feel excluded. I feel unheard. I feel lonely. I feel sad, right? Like, these are the things I'm feeling, and here's what I think I could use, right? Come over on Friday and watch a movie with me, or check in on my mom, she's sick, or whatever, GoFundMe account, whatever it is. Here's what I think I could use, but here's really what's going on for me. And if you feel like you're trying to do that and the other person is just not matching you, that's probably the best indicator, right? If it's not reciprocated in some way, if there's a lot of assumption, or if there's flat out disrespect or disappointment, right? Like, you don't have to stand for any of that. You don't have to accept any of that in the sake of friendship. So I think I think you first have to really kind of give it a fair, depending on how you feel about the relationship. And I say this to my clients actually all the time. If you feel like you're a good friend, you have to let your friend know they're being a bad friend. You have to give them the opportunity to show up, right? Because that's what friendship really is. It's really a reflection of who we are. And my best friends are the ones that have no problem saying, Britt, you are wrong. You fucked up. And I need to hear that, right? Yeah. But it's the people who I trust to hear it, to give me that information, right? But I think you have to, I'm just really big vent my
talk about it.
My
practice.
My practice is vent therapy. It stands for verbalizing emotional needs together. I think communication is the utmost pillar, right, in any relationship. And so you have to communicate to the people that you love, and you have to listen to what their response is. And if they are telling you something, even if it's hard to hear, right? I'm not going to show up for you in the ways that you need me to. I don't really care. My kids are my priority now. My husband is my priority now, and I'm not going to be there. And you have to decide how much of that you can take and stomach. Because again, as a friend and as a therapist, I want you all to feel joy when you wake up and feel at peace. And if you are feeling disgruntled because somebody is not showing up for you, it's on you to give yourself the peace of mind to step away from that.
Come on, Britt. Hold on. Let's keep going. I'm not going to stop. See? You see what we brought her here. So I was going to ask you, like, the top 3 things, like, for those very, very far and few between friendships that I see are able to last 30, 40, 50 years. That's not a husband and wife, right? Like, I was going to ask the top 3, but it seemed like you already started. Communication. You said listening. I feel like it was the second one that you said.
Listening is...
So give me 4. What's 2 more that you think are, like, pivotal and crucial if your goal is to make it to a long-term place with the friend?
Oh, man, really on the spot. So, well, 1, I think listening is part of communication, so I can still give you 3.
Okay.
I think mutual respect, right? And I don't know, loyalty / love. Maybe that's 4, right? I think you need loyalty in friendship. I think you can't just be this person's, hotter or, taking up more time or whatever. And so therefore I'm going to neglect your needs to be out over here, right? There has to be some kind of loyalty and friendship. There has to be love. I want to see you win. Even not everybody is going through the journey at the same rate as you.
Yeah.
So there are peaks and valleys. Somebody, got laid off while somebody gets a promotion. And, honestly, as a side note, and part of this is that all of the research shows that to live a long and healthy life, you need community. You need your friendships and your relationships.
Yeah.
Even if someone who is sick, chronic illness, terrible diet, not being healthy at all, but they have great relationships, last longer on average than the solo person who is super healthy, eating well, exercising all the time. The quality of life, having people to lean on. But the caveat to that is you need people in your life that you can share your joy with and your sorrow.
Yeah.
And not everybody has that, right? You need to call on the good days and the bad days.
So speaking of sharing your joys and your sorrows, I feel like we have had experiences with friends who they only share their joy. And when it's sorrow time, they kind of hide.
Yeah.
They retreat. And whether it's embarrassment, whether it's because, to your point, they lost the job while I got the promotion or you got the promotion. So they feel kind of inadequate. Whatever the feelings are, I hate that. I hate that. It's like, I want to share in your sorrow, not because I want to feel sorry for you, but you held me when I was down. So it feels like you're taking that opportunity away from me to show up for you when you're down. And it feels like you're kind of holding me like this, as opposed to like letting me in and letting me see all sides of you. Life is, to your point, life is hard. There's going to be days where the sun shines and shines and shines, and there's going to be days where it feels like it never stops raining. But I want to hold the umbrella with you in the rain because we're friends.
Yeah.
And I hate that people sometimes kind of treat it like, well, you're doing so much better than me. You don't want to hear about...
And that's, I'm sorry to cut you off, but that is where I'm self-aware in that we have just had a string of joys. You know what I mean? You actually forced me to reflect on the moment where I lost my job and everybody was so shocked that I shared it publicly. I got more love from losing my job than I did selling my company.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I don't know if that just makes us more relatable, having those down moments. And as the, wins kind of pile up, it just makes people feel, I don't know what that does to a person, because I want to see my friends win. Yeah. A number of my friends are doing significantly better than me. Yeah. And I have no jealousy, no envy. I want that. I want whatever God has for us. I want whatever God has for you. And I wish I felt like other people were like that too.
Well, I think the thing about joy and happiness and not feeling jealous, that's an internal thing, right? Like, I am not in a race with anyone else. I am in a race with me. Like, I am the person I have to beat, because your journey is going to be different than my journey. But to me, when I see my friends getting blessed, even when I feel passed over, and I've had my moments where other people were around me and I was getting no, and everyone else was getting yeses, I was like, okay, God, I see you're doing something for other people. So I know you still have capacity to do something for me. And to me, I'm like, I want to be adjacent to someone else's blessing. So how can I be mad that God is blessing someone else and he's not blessing me? That just means mine is coming. And I wish people kind of took it that way, because to your point, it's going to be like, we're not all running the same race. But I see so many fractures in friendships when someone is having their winning season and another person isn't. And instead of supporting their friend through their winning season, we get those feelings of jealousy and inadequacy and not liking the photo and not giving a congratulations or giving a very dry an obligatory. And we're like, okay, you clearly didn't really mean that.
Right. No, I think that's why I said before, it's like, it's really always about them and not you when it comes to those things, right? Like, for whatever reason, someone has a hard time seeing you win. It has nothing to do with you or your win. It has to do with their insecurity, their shame, their disappointment, and them not having taken the time to go inward enough to say, this is, I feel these ways, but let me put it to the side. It takes a lot of maturity and honestly practice, right? To watch someone win and be glad for them. Me and my best friend were actually just talking about this. She just got a enormous promotion. I'm like,
Yeah.
But when I think about our friendship, every time, she's a little bit older than me also, every time she has one, I have one shortly after. I'm like, get it, because mine's next, right? And that's a little bit like what ego or whatever, but the idea is that you are the sum of like the 7 closest people in your life, right? So we all should be elevating, and we all will stumble, but we pick each other up, right? That is friendship. It's community. And so, you know, it may be hard when you're in a low season to really extend the gratitude, but I think if you're in a place where you are judging others, they don't deserve, or why did this happen? There's just internal work there to do, right? It's a natural response. It's very easy to, one of my favorite quotes is like, we are everyone's best judge and our own best attorney, right? When it happens to us, we know why. Like, oh, why is she out here with that? Why, right? It's so easy, but it's just a defense mechanism. And so when you find yourself in that pattern, it really is time to go inward. And if you're having a hard time going inward on your own, contact me or any other therapist. To say, I feel this pattern, you know, like my friends keep, you know, I can't be happy for my friend, or this feeling keeps coming up for me and I don't know how to shake it, right? There's something, sometimes we just need a little bit of help, but I think it's a natural response. I think if someone has a hard time, you shouldn't take it personally, like, oh, this person is not rooting for me. It's just that this person is stuck somewhere in some feelings that are bigger than they are right now.
Yeah. And it's up to you now to figure out, do you want to help them through that stuck place, or do you want to?
Well, as I said, if you're really their friend, you say, hey, listen, you're not being a good friend right now.
That some people can't take that level of.
It's not for them to take,
honesty.
it's for you to do. If you're showing up in the friendship, then you show up. Oh, that's what I was going to before, where it's like, I have to show up the way I am showing up, right? If I can do it, if I can like your post, I'm going to like it, regardless of whether or not you like mine, because that's the kind of friend I am. If I am feeling hurt by you, I'm going to bring it to your attention, whether or not you're going to react well, because that's the kind of friend I am. That's what a boundary is. I show up the same in all spaces. These are my boundaries.
I like that.
Yeah, Bridget, I heard that too, but the Lord's not finished with me yet. I don't know that my boundaries are as established. So you can go to event therapy. Before we get out of here, Brittany, I just wanted to give you your flowers.
Yes.
As y'all know, like, we've been married 7 years. It ain't always been, you know, the Instagram perfect photos, and we went through some tough times during the pandemic, as we explained on Black Love Season 6.
Please go watch.
If you want to go watch. But, like, Brittany was the person who introduced us to our therapist, and the first time that we had learned the tools to be able to communicate with each other effectively. So I just want to thank you, Britt, because to some degree you helped save our marriage, and so I'm forever grateful for that, because had you not put us in touch with Dr. Katz, and Dr. Katz told Shireen how wrong she was and how right I was, I don't know that we are.
If I know anything about Dr. Katz, that
didn't do that.
You know, I had to bring it home.
But I think that speaks to the very essence of this whole episode, right? Like, we had a friend who we were vulnerable with, who we were going through a valley, and instead of having the shame and, you know, our parents, the old saying, like, you keep house business in the house, we found someone that we trusted and we shared with a friend, and that friend was actually able to give us sustainable advice that helped us say, like, oh shoot, we didn't even think about that. We should do that. And I think I see that so many times where people keep things in, and it's like, well, if you told me, I would have helped you.
Yeah, I would have referred you. I would have
Yeah.
reached out to the CEO. I would have had,
And I think to end on this note, when you think people are judging you, when really people are like, I want to pay it forward. Someone else helped me in my down season. I would love to help you in your down season. So I think sometimes we treat our like rainy days with so much like shame, and we have to hide them, and like, I'm not measuring up, where there are people rooting for you, and in rooting for you, they're like, I would love to help you, from your friends to freaking strangers. You'd be surprised.
Absolutely.
So show up for your friends, show up for each other, show up, to your point, authentically the same in every situation, and you will hit your winning season.
Psychology of Friendship, episode 13 for Best Podcast.
Woo!
BB Rich, thank you so much.
I just need somebody, but not just anybody.